Here, I think we had our last update or announcement. That was a very short time ago,
It was a short time ago.
like kind of 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. You know what we should do before we do the new announcements? We could talk
Right.
about what's coming soon.
Yep. And
Uh,
you're more up to date on that.
right. So
I
all the
think.
all the trucks are at Z-Track Distribution with Rob Clues, and he's in the process of releasing them. I think some people noticed that we also had a few extra spine car sets that we had held back. He's in the process of releasing them too. The SD 50s and 60s were almost at the end of that run on release. But coming next from the factory, I think, is going to be the AutoMax.
Yep.
Uh, and it's a good looking car. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to let you talk for a second. I'm going to go. I have one here. I actually have one. I can show
Uh,
you.
I think that's more. Hold on a second. Maybe I can find one and show you guys before Rob gets back. I can. It looks like this. Okay, I'm gonna hide it so Rob comes back with his and pretend you guys haven't seen it.
Okay, so
Again.
I
Oh,
got two
there he
things.
is.
Yep, here we go. Okay, so here we go. So here is the AutoMax. It's long.
Oh,
It's really long. And so you're really buying two cars. Lots of details. You can see they were in black on this, all the added parts, all that kind of
yeah.
nonsense. Runs really well. Obviously, it nice bendy, so it goes over all sorts of strange track. Don't know if you can see this. There's actually a separate truck that swivels on its own, two axis on the bottom. Little hard to re-rail, just a warning. I find it a little challenging, but it's not a big deal. And these are the final artwork has been signed off. I have the paint color samples. I haven't seen the decoration samples yet, but frequently we don't get those until they're ready to ship the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I would suspect that we should get those shipped in 30, 60 days, is my thinking.
No, I think so too.
Yeah. And a bunch of road names. UP, BNSF, Kansas City Southern, Canadian Pacific. I'm forgetting something. Sioux, it was just CP. Anyway, a whole bunch of good names. Oh, CSX. So that's going to be a nice compliment and very complimentary, I think, to Atlas's auto rack they just released. So yeah, so good stuff on that. And then last but not least, we still have coming. I think this summer people have been asking where is it to go with the Jays, and that's the Norfolk and Western Brass. And this is I know it's hard to see on the Zoom. This is just a these are beautiful. The quality of the construction is just unbelievable. The fine detailing of grab irons is just craziness. These are great cars. And what do you think? When were we supposed to get delivery on that, Hans?
I think within 2 months we can deliver.
Yeah. Okay. So they're coming.
And it's really close. Factory did a few mistakes that we wouldn't have seen, but they're perfectionists. So they said, hey, we made a mistake. So we
That's
don't
fine.
see that mistake.
Yeah. Well,
But
so
so no, they are. And when I got my set here to inspect, it's like, oh my God.
yeah,
And they were so afraid not hitting the right color. And I think it's spot on.
I think it is too. And then these
Yeah.
are now they run better than a lot of brass because they are on our PON injected trucks
Yeah.
from the lightweights, excuse me. So the running characteristics of them are great. And the weight on it is fantastic. So I think it's gonna be a beautiful match with the J locomotive.
Yeah, and I think that's a small mistake we did in the very beginning when we had passenger cars. We didn't inject the trucks. It makes a whole lot of difference.
Makes a big difference. Makes a big difference in how they run.
Yeah, and that's all about precision. That's basically what it is.
Exactly, exactly. So that's all good.
Yeah.
Now announcements. What Hans? What do you want to announce?
Okay, so it's not like we don't have enough locomotives that we're working on, so we threw in a couple more. But
Right.
and maybe not a huge surprise. They're both EMD locomotives. We're doing the F45, which we've done before, and the FP
In brass, did it in brass before.
did
Yep.
it in brass, correct. So the F45 and the FP45. And you know, we're a little bit history on these, and because they are full-bodied locomotives, they're not hood units. And why would the freight railroads use them? I think it was kind of like we miss our F units. Well, yeah, and well, the Great Northern that had the F45s, they were just going to make it easier for the crew in the winter. Understand, so they didn't have to be outside, if they had to look at the engine, whatever. So, but I think I think Wikipedia also writes Santa Fe is all aesthetics, for them, and they had beautiful, the F units and the E units, with the red bonnet,
Yep.
fantastic looking units. And I think that's why they went with this design. So only two original owners, Santa Fe and Great Northern. So Great Northern at the time were quickly transferring into Burlington Northern. So kind of a short life in the blue and white colors of Great Northern. Talking about color schemes, Santa Fe were doing three, two of the original. We're doing the original blue and yellow, which was basically more blue. Then we're doing the regular blue yellow on the last scheme they had before. No, no, that's not correct because they went back to the red war bonnet.
Back to the war bonnet. Yep.
Yeah, well, which they didn't have on this. And then, of course, the Kodachrome. You have to have the Kodachrome.
Sure.
So in brass, we did, if you can see this, this is the brass engine.
Oh, hold up a little higher. Hold up a little higher. It's a
Oh, do you see? You
There
see it
you
now?
go. There you
Oh,
go. Yep,
there it
I
is.
remember that. Yep.
Yeah. So we did this and the Kodachrome way back, and they're coming back and the original color, which
Now,
was bluish with a little bit of yellow in it.
as,
So
now, as I recall, Santa Fe wanted the FT45 mainly for the El Capitan because they were switching out their old F units and they wanted something streamlined looking to go with the passenger trains. And so that was hugely studied. Uh,
yeah,
and I think they probably ran on a Super TP, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
yeah. So talking about Santa Fe, the FP45 is the Red War bonnet paint scheme. Later on, as they were re-geared for freight service, the blue and yellow paint scheme came about.
Yep.
And but not just jumping quickly back to the F45. There are a couple of secondary users, which of course BN was the big one. Montana Rail Link had them. Suzy Q on the East Coast had them, and Wisconsin Central had a few. And I think we're also going to do a BNSF ATSF patch, and those would be the last units that would run. And I actually saw one back in '97 in action, so maybe that particular one becomes one of our locomotives.
Be great. Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
So back to the FP45, of course the passenger version of the F45. So only two original owners. We mentioned Santa Fe, and then the
Yep.
other one was Milwaukee Road. The first Milwaukee Road units, they used the Armor yellow paint scheme. Not sure if the gray made it. I wonder if they were all yellow. We'll get back to that. And then they were quickly repainted the orange-black paint scheme.
Mhm.
Uh, Besides from that, I don't think there were other users of the FP45. Now, this is very important. This is something we usually don't do, but we're going to do it this time. We're going to sneak in Amtrak and the BNSF Maersk. unit, which is actually an SDP40F locomotive, but it really looks like the FP45. The
Yeah.
shape is identical, almost identical. The trucks were different. That we will get right on them on these. But we usually don't like to do this, but I think uh, because they are so close,
Yeah.
there's a lot of panels that are in different places, and I think the radiator fans are also placed a little bit different. But for the purist, you might scream, but I think a lot of people like these units.
So
And it's
we had a long chat about this, and
yeah,
we got the bid for the tooling on the on all of them, all three projects.
that's correct.
And just to do the STP 40F was more than half of the entire bid for all the other versions.
Yeah,
We
and
just have
basically
that it's just
it's
Amtrak and it just doesn't make sense. So this was a compromise. And it's going to be a limited run. We're not going to make these things forever. But if you guys are interested in one, please let us know so we know about how many to make in Amtrak because
yeah.
we're not going to make many of them. It's a really special kind of deal. And by the way, there's a lot of confusion out there on the internet as to which of these locomotives were actually run. And I think the reason for it is, if I'm correct, I think Santa Fe actually bought back a few of the SD
P-
PFs. It's a
yeah,
relic.
they did,
Yeah.
and
So so people are a little confused, like where was this thing?
yeah,
It was an infamous locomotive. It was known as the rail wrecker.
yeah,
And apparently it wasn't balanced properly because where the steam generator was, and it would literally just it had side to side movement. It was so amazing that it would literally separate the rails when it went over them. And a
yeah.
lot of railroads banned them. They had a bunch of bad derailments. Railroads banned them. It was a disaster of a project for Amtrak.
Yeah,
Um,
and not much better for Santa Fe. They had I think it was a locomotive available. They bought them so we can
yeah,
use them. They obviously had to rebuild them, but they were the service life at Santa Fe must have been short.
yeah.
That's kind of what I understood from reading up on it.
I think if my memory is correct, they took the steam generators out, and that made them better, but not perfect. And so
Yeah,
they still were like, forget it, just get rid of them.
yeah.
Good. Um, so
So, but anyway, very very happy to announce those two locomotives, the F45s and the FP45s.
exactly. I think it's going to be a great project. It's one I personally look forward to for a long time because it's unusual. There's just not that many hood units out there,
Yeah,
it's just kind of fun to look at. There are a bunch of, there are some short lines that had them later. We'll look at maybe a couple of those just for fun. Think like Utah Railway had a few of them. They found life later on in other things. So there may be
yeah.
some fun little things that come out of that.
And commonly seen with coupled with SD 40-2s
Yep.
later on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
part of
they'd
the
be
process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they would be mixed up quite a bit. But like I said, but they will also they'll go very well with the Super Chief. They'll go very well with the El Capitan. So it's an additional reason to have those sets too. Um, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Hey Hans, do you think we ought to talk about freight cars?
we should. Why don't you give it a try?
Oh, I'll give it a whirl. Okay, so we're looking at rerunning some of our older tooling, and one of the cars we were thinking about was the ACF three-bay smooth side covered hopper that we had, and we thought about it a lot and realized that the tooling we've done a bunch of runs with it, and the tooling's it's not worn out, but it was just made a long time ago. And we were talking about like maybe we should improve some of the parts on it and make it a better model and things like that. And we finally said, if we're going to go through all that work, why don't we just make a different model? It's not that much more to do it. We're going to make a new smooth side three-bay hopper. This time we're going to do the Trinity 5161, which is a more modern hopper, used in massive unit trains by BNSF is one of the biggest users out there. Union Pacific is a big user of it. CSX has them. A lot of modern railroads have them. A lot are in, leasing service as well. So you see them all over the place. Big grain hopper. for big grain loads. And works well with a lot of the locomotives that we have that are currently out there in production. So we think this is going to make a great product and a great unit train. And we're releasing the PO for this. It's probably about an 18-month development cycle for these things. That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But we think it's going to be a nice addition to the line and just an indication of the way we go when some of this tooling gets to be 10, 15 years old. It's like maybe we should just make something new instead and something in the same category. And the dimensions on it are slightly different. So when you run them in unit trains, it's pretty obvious, with the ACF hopper, it's like, oh no, that's a different car. It's not the same thing. So we think it would be a lot of fun. And like I said, I think a lot of the detail work will be a lot sharper than some of our older products.
Yeah. Yeah, copy that completely.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else do we have? Anything? What else do we need to talk about?
Well, I think that's for the at least for the US announcements.
Yeah.
We're busy on the other side of the pond where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, a couple things. First, you know, we did the RBD Swiss set in cooperation with Markland, and they are now almost ready to release, I think, the red and cream scheme. We also produced what's known as the Gray Mouse, which was the EuroCity version, which is a different paint scheme it had on it later. And so we're going to be releasing that as a Swiss C line product. We hope very, very soon. Mainly be released through European distribution. We're going to have a few units available here in the US as well. Ours is a little different than Markland's in that ours has interior lights and things like that in it. So it's a nice model. It runs very, very well. Center power unit. Headlights, tail lights on both ends, has interior, all that kind of thing. Has a very special coupler between the cars that allows a seamless look on it. It was actually a pretty complicated coupler to engineer, but but really holds the train together well and gives it a solid unified look. So that's one thing on the Swiss front. We also have another Swiss project that we're happy to announce. And that's a very common, more modern Swiss set of cars, and that's the IC 2000 double deck intercity cars that are used in Switzerland. It's going to be, I think they're going to come in single cars and a 6-car set. We're doing the AD, which is the first class and baggage combination that usually goes right up next to. They're usually it's a push-pull train, and there's an RE 460 modern Swiss locomotive at one end, then followed by the AD first-class baggage car. There's a first-class car. There's a B second-class car. There's a WR buffet restaurant car. We're doing that in a bunch of different kind of schemes, including the Starbucks car that was done at one point in time. They actually had a mobile Starbucks that they were pushing around for a while. And then we have the BT car, which is the cab car. That's a fun car because it typically that's the family car. And so the upper deck has a whole playground in it for kids and seating on the side. So, parents can watch the kids, and there's a slide up there and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And then typically what it has some colorful animals on the side of the car to indicate that's where the kids' car is. So there's one with a man in the moon. There's another one with dinosaurs. There's another one with I think a monkey and a tiger. So it's a gorilla and a tiger. So it's they're very colorful cars, and they're kind of fun. So those are coming, and we hope those will be out pretty soon. Those are really common around the Swiss network, and they run all over the place. The Swiss don't have what the Europeans define as high-speed rail because everything's so close. They decided it just wouldn't matter and it wasn't worth the expense. So they are, I guess, what the Europeans technically define as medium speed, but we're still talking in excess of 120 miles an hour. So by American standards, they're
That's
still
great.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
So those are the big Swiss projects coming up. we do have some things we're still working on. We did announce a long time ago the AE 814 Goddard locomotive in brass, and we're exploring having our partner, our brass partner, make that for us now. And again, that's going to be a pretty limited production item. So we'll get some more details on that when we get a little closer. And again, any expressions of interest you could give us on that would also be super helpful as we match our production numbers to what you guys are
Yeah,
looking.
Rob, one thing, you should have a Swiss Sea Line cap.
I should, but we only have one big hat around here, and that we can only afford one kind of hat. And so he said, "What's the mothership? We're going to go with the mothership here, and that just shows like our dedication to our core products. We're not getting away from the core products at all. We're just expanding the horizons a little bit. That's all."
Now, this is off topic a little bit related. Now, on your gigantic layout, oh, the Gotthard
Yes,
paths. Now,
yes,
how many of these trains will actually run there?
five. I think about five. That's about all I can handle. Exactly. But they will all be running back there at some point in
Yeah,
time. Get some disgusting videos of pretty pictures for you at
yeah.
some point in time. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So this, the clock's ticking here, and this was a short announcement, but it really isn't. And
No, there's lots going on.
I know. And I should, what is happening? And just one more thing, the Lamy station that a lot of you guys have ordered are being shipped as we speak from England, and our distributor in Ohio, Rob Clues, will have these fairly soon.
Mhm. Yep,
So
yep.
that's coming as well.
Exactly, exactly. Looking forward to that. That's been a long time coming, but I think it's going to be a fun little project.
Yeah.
Uh, and Rob should have that. And we continue. And by the way, I was just looking at models, at what we've made in the past. We're on a really good position here where there's a lot of stuff that we've made in the past that's still available. The quantities aren't huge, but we do have inventory on some things that, if you may have forgotten about. So, we'd encourage you to browse through the website and see what's been made before. Something may catch your eye, that's out there that you say would make a nice addition to your collection. Like I said, we're getting pretty low on a lot of those stocks, and that's why I bring it up now. But there's two, sometimes three still remaining on some of these things. And when they're gone, they're gone. That's the way these things work.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we should have Rob post, if it's down to one or two items, post
he
them.
he does pretty regularly. He does pretty
Yeah,
regularly. But I was just surprised. For a long time it was sort of a one page, and like recently I'm looking at it like, ooh, no, it's getting to be longer. And if he does it usually when he's down to I think two. But if you go back to like three or four, it's a big list of like what we're almost out of at this point in time. So, check it out. Wouldn't want folks to miss out on something.
yeah. So forgot one thing about the new locomotive announcements. Uh, when do we expect them? Probably end of 27.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that's what I would
I
guess.
think that's about right. I
Yeah,
think it's 18 months, 18 to 24 months is kind of a normal development path for a locomotive or a car or anything like that.
yeah. And remember, we have, we have the Alcos coming, we have GE units coming, we
Yep,
have two steam locomotives coming, we have the F40 PH coming.
yep.
There's really a lot.
There is a lot. And all the
Yeah,
commuter that we talked about,
yeah,
that's coming. So, what we're doing, we're just sharing with you guys what we have we're working on. And
yep.
if we've got a PO out there, we'll tell you what we're working on. And we'll put Hans, I think we should make Rob do some more work. Maybe he should put together a list of all the projects of, where they are and what their status is, so folks have some
Yeah,
idea.
we said we have one on our regular web page that needs updating
Yep.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Right. Right.
And
And,
I'll make sure that happens.
and I don't know about you, but that's not my job. So we could give it to somebody else.
Yep.
This is good executive skills. You find something and say, you go do it, not me.
Yeah.
You know. Uh, so hopefully we'll get that updated soon.
Yeah,
Um,
we should because things move.
yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
They move fast. They move fast. Well, this is all really good. I hope this is encouraging to guys as as you make your plans going forward and just see that we're still actively engaged and involved and building things left and right. In spite of the fact that we're living in Scottish weather, we still have we're still cheerful about things. So
We are.
yeah, yeah. All right.
So, so I was going to say something in Scottish. I'd rather not.
No, it's an awful. No one would understand anyway. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think this is all good news, guys. And we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Take care.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.